VCP. With VCP, if you understand how that works, you should work really hard to put your team members in front. Don't always it be you because you're the one that can deliver it perfect. No, let others see that it's okay to grow into a role, and you need to model that in your base shops at all times. Jeremy, let's kick us off.
Absolutely. Guys, it is 12:20. Welcome 12:21 on the Eastern Seaboard. Welcome to another terrific Tuesday on the ITLC. Last week we talked about that critical moment before the breakthrough, the part where most people they just fizzle out, they quit, right? But here's the thing, even after you don't quit, there's a new challenge that most people don't talk about. The space between knowing and doing. And that's where a lot of people stall if we don't focus on this. So let's open it up today with this pregame and this fantastic panel, pressing into the gap between what we know and what we actually live out. So our first question goes to Zach. Buddy, what's something you've learned lately but haven't yet applied? Because I know you're doing a lot of self-development, especially with the pack. What's something that you just learned that you can't wait to get started?
So, great question. Yeah, I'll say one thing about what I have been doing and then one thing that I haven't been doing. So one thing I have been doing is my book reports on a daily basis. So that has really got me just kind of focused in the beginning of my day. I'm able to do my book report. I said I was going to do them every day. I haven't missed it yet. And that's just something that I know I'm doing, right? And you can't knock me off of that. And it's a good baseline throughout the week. One thing that I committed to doing was really focusing on my own personal branding. I took a small course. I found somebody I liked, and I do recommend you guys, when you find someone you like, there's creators out there in the world, doesn't have to be Primerica. Primerica is better, but when you find someone you like and you resonate with, and they have content that speaks to you, look at it. Go buy a course. Do what you got to do and make it happen. Because I bought a course and I've been learning about it, but it's a 30-day challenge. And I'm already on day 8. And by day 4, I was posting every day. And day 5, I stopped posting. Day 6, I stopped posting. And now I noticed the pattern. Oh boy, here I go again. And it's in a different realm. But here I go again. I stopped the challenge here. And then I'm gonna have to go back, and I'm in my head about it. So you could be great in one area, all right, and then you can fall off in others. This business is crazy, right? It's a piston theory. You got one thing going, one thing down, one thing going, one thing down. When you can even that thing out and you stick to what you say you're going to do on a daily basis, hourly basis, minute by minute basis, you're going to be in a better spot. So if you follow me on anything, you'll see a post today because I'm getting back on the wagon there. All right.
Wow.
Pressure.
Pattern recognition and consistency. You recognized a pattern and you were able to fix it. A lot of people just keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's insanity. So speaking on that, Cardia, not the insanity part. Speaking on the next part, Cardia, are there any routines that used to serve you, but are now just habits with no heart? You're just kind of going through the motions and you're like, hey, maybe I can X this off my list and find something new to fill that spot.
Jeremy, can you come back to me with that one? I got to think on that one because a lot of stuff I've kind of X'd already.
Yeah,
But
well, then talk on that, because I know you're doing a lot of self-development, right, with the pack and everything.
mhm.
So what is something that you used to do then that, maybe it might be something that's always said from the stage or something that you've just cut out that was a time waster for you?
The biggest thing I think of right now is I used to wing it.
Mm.
I never wrote my schedule down. I never planned my day out. I hear Hector Lamarck always say, plan your night out, plan your day out the night before. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I heard Bid Willow, think in ink, write it down, what have you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say I would do it, and I'm like, oh, in my head, I know what I got to do today. I know what I got to do, and I was winging it. So then life comes, and then everything just disappears, and I forget. Heck, I forget sometimes when I'm walking into the kitchen of what I'm going to get. I walk in there, I'm like, what am I getting? I don't know. So I had to change that. And once I really started understanding the power of really committing to writing my schedule down the night before, it made my day the next day so much clearer, right? As far as I knew what I was doing, I was committed to doing it, and I made much more progress than what I was doing when I was just winging it.
Got it. So intentionality is what I'm hearing, being intentional about what you want to achieve. And so planning it the night before leads to that being intentional. And don't worry, we all do it too. Even Chase, we set down the glass of water, go to get something. We're like, what am I here for again? So we feel it too.
What am I here? What am I?
Yeah, Jesse, let's go to you. What's the difference between who you say you are and what your actions show? Because there's this thing out there that a lot of people talk about, right? Imposter syndrome, that kind of stuff. But I know you have some fantastic I am statements. So, what are some of those things? Talk about that a little bit.
The difference between who you say you are and what your actions show. If I'm understanding that question correctly, there is no difference. Because I think and tell me if I'm interpreting the question wrong, I might be overthinking it, but when I was brand new in the business, I had a really hard time with, now I'm a red, so it's kind of weird that I had a hard time with this because Primerica is a red business. Like it is from the stage, from all of the trainings you see on POL, like everything is like, here's the play, run the play. Here's the play, run the play. Just do it. Just do it. It'll work if you do it. If you don't, that's your problem. And if you're having a hard time, go recruit more people. If you're having a hard time with this, go do more of this. And it's all activity, 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 activity. And I feel like for somebody, when I came in brand new, you could tell me to go run a play and I would go do it. I wouldn't spend a bunch of time over analyzing it or questioning it. You just tell me what to do, I'm going to go do it. I had a hard time watching people tell me to do things that I felt like they weren't doing themselves. So that was a challenge for me as a red. Like, I felt like if you're going to coach me on something, I need to be seeing you doing the same thing that you're telling me to do. Otherwise, I'm not going to understand why I need to do it and you don't need to do it. So for me as a coach now, I make sure that that's something that I would never ask any of my teammates to do something that I'm not doing myself or I'm not willing to do myself, because to me, that's where the imposter syndrome comes in. If I'm not willing to do it, I'm not going to ask you to do it. And everybody thinks I'm crazy, but I got tattooed on my hands not too long ago. Words whisper, actions scream. And to me, that's something that I put right here on my hands so I see it all day, every day when I'm working. And it's reminding me that I can tell people all day long, this is what you need to do. But if I show people through my actions, this is what you need to do, they're going to see the results and then they're going to go do it.
I love that you took time to really think about it, because that's exactly why I asked you that question. And leading from the front, being able to, hey, if I'm going to ask you to do this, I'm going to make sure I'm doing this. And I'm not just going to say it and be hearsay. I'm going to show you with my actions. Fantastic. Chase, I know we're running out of time here. What I want to focus on with you is very specific because of, again, you guys are all doing self-development, but focused and intentional self-development. So what small excuse keeps sneaking in and stopping you again and again and again? We keep stopping ourselves. So how do we stop ourselves from stopping ourselves?
I think that excuse for a lot of people is I have more time.
That was pretty deep, but
And
pretty
I
profound.
paused there for effect. Right. I paused there for effect because of I usually have a lot of filler words, right? As you guys saw from the video in school, right? But that was an Art Williams thing. But I think we really do. So many of us just think it'll happen tomorrow, next week, next year. And when you've been around a while, that imposter syndrome that was just talked about is huge, because you start doubting yourself, but I'll get to it. I'll eventually do it. None of us know how much time we have left. So we've got to, charge each day to it, take each day, and put our all into it and stop telling ourselves that, because some of us won't have more time.
Oh, wow. Okay, got it. Yes. We need to be thinking about that. We think tomorrow's promised, but it's not. right? So have that kind of feeling, that intentionality that we were talking about before, and knowing that they may pat our lights out, right? So let's go on to Mel. Mel, last one, buddy. What's one area where you're waiting when you really need to start building, right? We talk about knowing what to do and then actually go and doing it.
Mhm.
What's that one area for you?
It's easy as an RVP to kind of get sometimes caught up into supporting your team. And you may be thinking, well, aren't we supposed to do that? Yes, but sometimes as RVP, we can do so much focus on supporting our team that we forget that we still need to be an example and we need to have personal activity. So that's the biggest area. One of my biggest weaknesses right now that I'm working or struggling with is making sure I maintain my personal activity at the same time as working with my team. Team numbers look great, but okay, how can you be the leader and your numbers look like that? Well, I was over here working with this person, work with that person. That's great. Yes, that happened, but some people are going to come into the environment and they're only going to see the scoreboard. And they see the scoreboard and there's no numbers and you're supposed to be the leader. So that area is just really, you got to learn how to. Anybody ever seen a halftime show at one of the NBA games or something like that? And the lady comes out and she puts a plate on the top of the stick and she starts spinning one plate. And then she goes and she adds another plate. She sets that one up and she's spinning this one. And after about 2 or 3, the first plate starts to wobble a little bit. Well, most people are focusing on the wobbly plate, and you can get caught up in focusing on the wobbly plate, which you should help the wobbly plate, but you can't forget that you need to keep adding spinning plates to the sticks. So you got to get to a point where you can do both. And that's the song and dance that RVPs have to play, that I need to be both a player and a coach until I've got so many players that it doesn't matter whether I get on the court or not anymore. I can just focus on being a coach now.
It's
Right there.
almost like we need to be intentional by planning the day before so we can lead from the front by being personal in our actions that we do to show people they should follow us.
Exactly.
Wow. Guys, awareness is the spark, but identity is forged in the actions you repeat. You heard Zach even talk about consistency, right? So if last week helped you see the breakthrough coming, this week is your chance to become the kind of person who walks it out, actually takes action. So with that, let's pass it over to Kia to get us officially kicked off.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. What a wonderful pregame that we just had. Welcome to another terrific Tuesday. I am Kia Fry, coming to you live from Detroit, Michigan. Just something a little bit different. If you're new and this is your first day, drop new in the chat. If you've been here, which means this is your second time visiting with us, drop vet in the chat. Okay, let's get some action and activity going. But listen, I hear we have a great training for you today. So Logan, Clark, and Aristide are going to talk to you and show you about a brand new tool. And then after that, none other than John, Lavin, and Aristide are going to lead an amazing panel. So listen, guys, stay on all the way to the end, and you might want to stay on just a little bit later if you are fighting for or would like to fight for a spot in the blessing. So I know some people are probably thinking, what is the blessing? Aristide, what's that about?
That's such a great question. And see if people are paying attention, right? Put in the chat, I know, if you know what the blessing is all about. And if you cannot put I know, there's something missing. You're not paying attention while it's happening right in front of you. See this thing here over my shoulder? If you're a member of that community, you should know. And if you're not a member of that community, click it right now, take your phone, scan the QR code, and then join that community. All right? In there, we have what we call the blessing. Kia, you know what a blessing is? A blessing is a herd of unicorns. And I really think that most of us are actual unicorns. We're special in our own way. We just don't know how to recognize that specialness in ourselves. And I've been working the last 2.5 years. I've been working my tail end off with the group that we call the pack. It's a pack. It's a herd of unicorns. And I think we've broken the code on how you can get people to go from where they are right now. And for most of us that's stuck in one way or another, it's not that we're not skilled. We are skilled, but we are struggling with what Mel was just talking about at the very end. I'm good at this plate. This plate is not so good yet. How do I train myself into be able to spin both plates and add a third and add a fourth and add a fifth and add a sixth? That's what we're working on in that group. And so the blessing is a feeding ground for to be able to make it into the pack, into that in that private knit group of coaching that we have. I'm gonna use later today to showcase that what we do in the pack. But first, one of the members in the pack, Logan Clark, Kia's in the pack too, by the way, just in case you didn't catch on yet. Logan Clark, Kia, Jeremy, myself, Mel, all members of the pack, Chase, Cardia, John Wursel, I'm missing names, Richie Rich, and Charles Swope. We've all been working on together on something, a new project. But part of that project is a calculator that we came up with. And Logan, let's talk about that calculator. Kia, thank you for the introduction and thanks for that question. I think it gives a lot of people clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to kind of hopefully set the stage, let me get this shared over here. I know every one of us that's here, and this is one of the things that, Art Williams always said, this is the piece of stuff that blew his butt out of the water, right? And we all remember that thing that blew us out of the water. And a lot of us, it might have started with the Rule of 72. And those conversations that we have, Aristide, right, is, hey, I can show you how to get financially free. And for some folks that, work with me as a client, that conversation and that process could take, up to 30 years, right? As they learn how to invest properly, grow. But then the other side of things is, well, we could shorten and compress that time frame if someone comes to work with us and helps, we help them build a business. And so when we're looking at that and we're talking to people, it's still, I don't know about you, hard to kind of give them a visual of the real difference between the two. And I know we've all talked about the Rule 72, and then on the business side of things, we start talking about, the cash flow quadrant. I mean, drop in the chat if you know what the cash flow quadrant is. Just say me, right, in the chat. And it's something that we've all used to explain, hey, we want to help people move from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the cash flow quadrant. But again, the visualization of, well, how do we do that in a way that actually takes them through a journey, okay? Instead of just saying we go from this side to this side, like what are the doors and how does that path look? And then how do we really start to put those two things together, right? How do we take the cash flow quadrant and combine that with the investment side of our business and becoming fully licensed, doing the buy, term, and invest the difference like Art Williams always taught us, and show them how their income scales exponentially, right? Instead of just, well, you can build a business and then you build a team and then you have production and you build RVPs, right? That part's great, but also how does this really work over time inside of this? And so, Aristide, I don't know if you had any other pieces you wanted to kind of drop in there before we pull this piece up, but that was, I know when we were going through this project and talking about it, is how can we tell a story to someone, show them how the numbers actually work and how fast this stuff can grow?
I think the only thing we need to change is where you add a plus there in the middle. We should cross that out as you say this line and make it a multiplication sign. You got it.
Right.
I started saying it and you got it right away.
Yep. And the three things I know Aristide and I were talking about this last night is what we want to really be able to communicate to folks as we're talking about them. And really, I see this more as a recruiting tool than anything else, is showing people, hey, here's what the power of consistency can do for you inside of this piece of our business, how the power of compounding all the way works through, and why you need to get started, right? Why you need to go finish getting those licenses and starting to put all of these pieces into motion. So I'm gonna get this pulled up and make sure we can do this the right way. Nope, we want to stop that share. Let me share a new one because it's not doing that. And let's make sure, boom. Okay, there we go. So long story bearable on how all of this works, right? As we're going to go through this is we've got a simple income explainer. And the idea behind this again is we want to show someone in very simple terms. I think we get caught up in KT, FNA, like all these terms that we have inside the business. But when we're having a conversation with someone who might not have any idea about the business, we want to make this bite-sized and digestible that they can go, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? So let's say that Aristide and I are sitting down and talking, okay? And I'm showing Aristide kind of a little bit about how we do things and how this works, and say, Aristide, the cash flow quadrant, right? You're the employee where you trade your time for money, but you work for someone else, okay? And then in the self-employed quadrant, you are working for yourself, but you're still by yourself, right? So you have to go through and you own that job, but everything that you do is getting paid and earning an income off of the money that you are still trading for time. You're just not doing it for someone else, right? So, Aristide, if we were looking at this, and let's say that you came on board, got started with us, got all your licenses, and you helped 5 clients a month, and maybe every single time that you helped them, you averaged about a $25,000 rollover. And for those same clients, we also help them open up their PACs, get their money contributing on a recurring monthly basis, right? That pre-approved checking. And we were doing about 250 bucks, right? For each of
Okay.
those cases there. And let's say that we did that for what, 3 years, okay? So you're working with us part-time, spare time, part-time for that, but you're fully licensed in 3 years, and we hit calculate. Then what that looks like, if you're in a self-employed position, which for all of us who know what that is I'm treating this as a regional leader, okay, who's fully licensed and working with these clients. And here's what that would look like for you, Aristide. For helping those clients roll that money over, you're going to get paid $2,400 in what we call direct effort income, right? So that's upfront what you're getting paid on those accounts getting opened up. Now, remember, we've been doing this for 3 years. So after 3 years, you've got 36 months times 5 new monthly PAC cases of 250 bucks going in. So that you now have a recurring income, right, every single month from clients that you helped open accounts in the past. So you're making an extra almost $1,000 for work that you did over the last 3 years this month, on top of the new clients that you just helped. And then that third way that we get paid is that passive or trail income. And so that's just from the personal assets under management that have been growing, because every time that we help these clients invest their money, their accounts grow with the market. Let's say that's growing at 10%, and you're still getting paid from that. So off of the personal AUM, you're getting another $400 in completely passive income there. So if I could show you how to do that in the next 36 months, I mean, is there really any reason that you wouldn't want to learn exactly how that works and how we can show you and help you do that?
This is good. Now I see this little button there, show your work. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. So this is just, well, how do we actually do that, right? What's the math behind our compensation structure and all the it depends types of things in there, so that we can see exactly from the total of the 125,000 what our CDR rate is, what your commissionable percentages are, and what you're actually getting paid.
I see. Okay, so that is your homework, not my homework. I got it
Correct.
now.
Yep. That's the homework there. But and also the same thing on the trails, right? Hey, if we've had all this again, remember consistency, the consistent effort of all these things going in here. Well, after 3 years, we'd have about $5.2 million in assets under management, and that off the 12B1 trails, that's what you're actually getting paid there.
I see it.
At that rate. Yep. So that's what all goes into there. So
Okay.
on the self-employed side, now dream a little bit with me. Let's say that you stuck this out for 15 years, okay? And after 15 years of doing this, you didn't just stay self-employed, right? You started to move into that business owner category, where you actually started to train some other self-employed people to work out of your office, right? And you're still doing the work, right? You've still been doing just the same, hey, I'm helping about 5 clients a month do 25,000, but now I've got 3 people working out of my office like you used to work out of an office, and they're also helping a set of clients, but they're doing about half the work that you are, okay? Because you know the old saying, right? People do half of what you do, right? So
Yep.
let's just say that that's what they're doing. Well, now your direct effort income off of helping the same number of clients, you're making more money. So instead of making 2,400, you're making 3,500. But look at this. After 15 years of consistently building up those recurring packs, you're now making about $7,000. That's almost 100 grand a year, right?
I see
Just
that.
in recurring income. And look at your trails. Your trails are now sitting at $8,000 because we've continued to have more time for the Rule of 72 to compound
Wow.
on your client's money, which means your income is also growing. And then because of you being able to teach people how to do what you were doing, the company says, hey, great job, Aristide. This is exactly what we need because the more people you help learn how to do what we do, the more families get helped, the bigger our business and company grows overall. Here's an extra $6,300 that's going to hit your bank account in just the override income from your team.
All right. So why did my direct effort go up though? Because it's the same effort. Why would it go up? I
Right.
don't understand that.
Great question. So whenever we go and we start to be in a business owner position, that's what we call a regional vice president. So as a
Okay.
regional vice president, your actual contract is higher than what it was when you were self-employed.
Ah,
So
so
you're
I
taking on
make
the
more for the
extra.
same amount of work.
Exactly.
Got
Exactly.
it.
Yep.
Got it.
So now let's dream a little bit longer, and let's say that we drag this out another 20 years. You've still been, or sorry, 20 years total. So you've been doing the same thing the entire time, but now some of these self-employed people said, "Hey, look, if Aristide can go do this, then I'm pretty sure I can go open up my own office and be a business owner as well." And our company says, "Hey, that's amazing. That's what we want. We want more distribution. We want more McDonald's on the corner of every street, right? So let's help them go open up their own office." And Aristide, because you did that, we're going to help you by continuing to pay you for the people that you initially trained who've now gone and opened up their own offices. And so if we start going out there and doing that, you're still making your same direct effort income. You've still got your recurring pack income working, your trail income's working, and your overrides are working. But then we've got now income from those two expansion offices that you opened, and now they're doing what you were doing and still getting paid and trained off of all that.
So it
So
just layers on top of that again.
correct. Correct. And all the while, the compounding of your efforts and of your clients' investments as those grow continue to increase your income. And then maybe one day you decide to step away, you shut your office down, right? You're no longer doing direct effort income, but you're still getting paid off of what all the money that's going in there that your office staff is handling. You've got trail income that's still happening from all those assets under management, but you promote out the rest of your people in your office and expand it into more offices. Now they're all running their own businesses, but guess what? Your company is still paying you for not just that fourth category that is the investment category, because that's usually talking about investing your money. But what you did over these 20, 25 years of building your business is you invested time into other people to transfer the knowledge that you had learned into them, and then the company pays you back basically as your investment of time through these other expansion offices. And that's how we really want to show people how to leverage time and money.
So if I understand it correctly, this is you were explaining to me a little earlier that you do investments, but also some other stuff. What you're showing me is just on the investments.
Correct. This is just on the investment side. And this also, Aristida, this doesn't include any of the investment bonuses structure or some of the other tools that we have like managed accounts and stuff. This is just as simple as we can show this on the investment side, not to include all the other ways that we help our clients with their finances.
Now, do I have to remember all this?
Nope.
So I like that you said, nope. You're so matter of factly explaining this. Um, can I play with this myself?
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow, that
Something
is
that you
really
can
cool.
go in and you'll be able to go up here and mess around with any of these little things. If you want to change this and say, well, what if I helped invest more? What if I helped less clients? What if I did this or that? You can always mess with all of these different settings and be able to build out pretty much any scenario you'd like to have.
So I see a little button there says advanced calculator.
Mm-hmm.
What is that then?
Well, do you think you can keep a secret, Aracita?
Yeah.
Okay. So can I. So
Ah, it's coming.
we are still working and making some adjustments and got some really cool ideas that we're working to implement here. But some really, really cool stuff as well to come on to that advanced calculator. Because eventually we want this, of course, to be something that is very simple and easy for you to explain to a brand new person who has no clue about, the difference between a rep and a regional leader, right? So that's why we have the labels and the terms listed out the way that we do without all of the Primerica jargon. But at the same time, we do want to be able to have a button that you can click and go into a deep dive of all the other things and show this and use this for internal training as well as you're teaching and helping build your teams there.
So good. So I know a lot of people are going to say, so when is this available? Where is this available? Why is this not available? Why don't I have a link to it yet? Answer is hang tight.
Yep.
Hang tight. We're doing the last double checking. We don't want it to be out there and not have the right numbers in there. So we're trying to break it ourselves first. Not that you can break the calculations, but the calculations may be off, and we don't want that at all. So now that we have the functionality working, we're going to finish that, and maybe as soon as next week, we'll have that rolled out for all of you. John Lavin, I know you're on. I would like to get your reaction.
I'm here.
Let me add you here. What did you just see?
My life. That's what happened to me. Not quite as eloquent. Numbers aren't quite the same because I didn't stay at it personally as long. But that's all true and real. And I think it's a brilliant. It's brilliant. It's wonderful because there's so much going on. It's hard to explain the investment income. Just very difficult. You guys just made it really simple. So I just saw a fabulous tool to use to help people to understand what they've got their hands on here. Because most people, and I was on early, so I heard early on. I really think most people have no idea what they have their hands on, or they'd be acting much different than they act on a daily basis.
I wholeheartedly agree. I saw someone comment, actually, this is hard to explain, or this is difficult. And I always say, listen, when you listen to a foreign song and the music is upbeat and they're singing in Spanish, you don't know what they're singing, but you know it's good and it's fun because everybody's dancing on it and everybody is cheering it on. You don't have to know, but they'll see the numbers and they'll understand the income potential is there. They may not understand it yet, but if they stick around, they'll learn it, right? So you want to have something that pulls them in enough that they go like, wait a minute. That recurring part, because we all listen to all kinds of TikToks right now, all kinds of reels right now, where people are saying passive income is the thing you have to somehow figure out how to build, and you're just handing that on a silver platter. So Logan,
I think too, I was thinking about this last night after we got the phone, Aristide. I see so many of these ads on social media right now for, I just made this $27 ebook and all of these things where it's a subscription-based service or something along those lines. I'm like, that's what packs are. I mean, we are in this position where packs are a subscription-based service, and every single month that you go out there and you help someone set up a new pack, that's a new subscription that you just gained that is a recurring, personally, and it's helping them out in a way that it isn't, another thing that's there. But to me as well, the coolest part about the calculator for me, as someone who is a super technical T, green, whatever you want to call it, is the fact that the time compounding of those things is something that we can now actually see and justify. Because if you say 10 years, that's 120 months of 5 cases of $250. What's that actually paying you at that point? And then the consistency of that money being invested, adding to the AUM at a regular annual compounding interest as well, is something that I have never been able to find a tool that could do that. That's part of the reason why we wanted to put this together, because then you can actually say, okay, well, if I do this amount of effort for this length of time, what's my trails going to be? And then if I stop, how long and how far can that go, and what are the trails going to be there? And so that's the stuff that just is, to me, so cool about this, and I'm so excited about it because we can actually see that and then help explain and justify that to other people, so that they can get excited about it too.
It's a 12 to 15 minute conversation. Go ahead, John.
There's another piece to that, and that is that the natural progression for that that leader, that advisor who's building that, is to managed accounts. And so the transition of those assets to managed accounts dwarfs the income that you're showing. So that's a whole other piece. There's another piece that I thought of, and that is in the process of you developing that. I think it was 71,000 of income a month, residual income through investments alone. How much money did your clients accumulate? How many lives were changed as a result of that? What are the assets, the advanced calculator, by the way? What are the assets now that your clients have? I mean, all of that happened because you made a commitment to help people become financially independent.
And
Your commitment to that is what created that income. So it's a very, I mean, so that's, to me, that's as important to the right kind of people as anything we would show them about the income.
So the way Logan just showed it is pure the red version. The yellow version is because of you, because you decided to do this, the impact in your community is this. And then you show them that. And now you, the yellow person is like now like a moth on that light, right? Just totally attracted. Like I'm going to be having this type of impact on my own because I decide to start. This will be the impact. That's amazing. I'm in, and boom. So we're creating a tool, and thank you. But now you know what that advance is going to do, amongst other things. You got to be able to read the room. I always say, and then you go for the presentation that matches that personality that you have in front of you. So many more good things to come. If you're not in the school yet, all this stuff will appear there first. So go there right now. And with that, John, Logan, hey, shout out to Logan. Everybody say Logan with an exclamation mark behind it. Logan has spent countless hours with me, one on one, apart from the group that I was talking about earlier, in making sure that this calculator came to fruition. Logan, you the man. Nobody else but Logan. Hey, let's move on, John, because I really wanted to spend the last half hour now on talking with the studs on the screen. I'm missing a few people. Help me out. Who were here last week in that panel? I want all 9 back on the screen if we can. If somebody can help me out with that, facilitate that for me, that would be great. Listen, John, we've been in the pack, been laser focused on self-development. And you saw a little bit of that last week, right? One of the things we are laser focused on is PDCAs, and I've put that in the ITLC. I've given people the groundwork of it. What does it look like? What do you have to do? But with these studs, I would like to discuss what has shifted for them since they have been diligently doing it. And Zach, in the pregame, if we can start with you, you mentioned having a winning streak. What does that even mean?
Yes. So I'm on day, I think 22 of a winning streak here. So in the pack, we do a book report every day. And I'll be the first to tell you when, Aristide said the word book report, I immediately threw up in my mouth. I hated the idea. I did not love school growing up. This was nothing, I thought I was fine. When I graduated college, I'm like, I never have to do a report again in my life. I'm good. And here I go. I meet Aristide and he's telling me to do book reports. So don't love the name of it, but it is what it is. So what it is when it comes to reading daily and self-improving daily, when I always got hung up on it, it was when I felt like I had to read a lot, like 20 pages a day, 30 pages a day, even 10 pages a day sometimes with our schedules. If you're running a business, you've got a family, you got kids, you've got a bunch of um, responsibilities in your life. Sometimes scheduling out some time to actually read is harder than it sounds. Well, what changed for me was the understanding is that one, it's not always about me, right? I'm not always reading these books for me. I'm reading them for my team, so that when someone on my team has an issue, I know exactly what to give them, right? And we're in an ideas business. When you're getting ideas on a daily basis, like good ideas, you could propel that onto your team and give them just that motivation or or insight that they needed to just get them out of whatever thing they might be stuck in. So when you start reading good books and you don't set this limit of, I need to read 20 pages, I need 15 pages. How about you just read it until you felt like you got enough information that you can reflect on that information? So many of us will read so much and then you don't even remember like two chapters ago. You remember the last paragraph and you don't reflect on it. And yeah, okay, maybe I'll pick it up in three or 4 days, or you never pick it up again. I've got a bookshelf of books that have bookmarks in them that is on page like 8. Okay, so when you do it this way and you do it on a daily basis, one, you're feeding your mind in the morning or whenever you're doing it at night or in the middle. Shouldn't be in the middle of the day. Should be on booking appointments, but in the morning or at night, you go through it, and all you got to do is write a little chapter summary on the book. Okay, so on what you read, not the book, on what you read. So it might have been 3 pages, might have been 6 pages, might have been 10 pages, might have been 20 pages, whatever you had read that day. You do a little summary. Then what you do is you do a internalization. So what did I actually gain from the book? Like what was, when you're reading that book, you have that little voice like talking to you as you're reading it, like, oh, that applies to this in my life. Oh, I just did this. And if you're thinking what little voice, that little voice. So when you get to the internalization, write down how did this affect me? What came up for me in my life about what I just read? And then the third thing you do on this book report, and the most important, is the action items. Because before reading and not doing these action items, so many times I would just be done, move on with my day, not apply really anything I read, and it was gone. When you add an action item applied to what you just read, and again, this really works with good books, okay? When you apply these action items, you're going to be in a much better spot because okay, hey, I just, like, for an example, yesterday, I'd read this book I'm reading called The 5 Types of Wealth. They were talking about the 10 magic years you get with your kids. Okay, so this is about time with your kids and social wealth. And they said, a bunch of different insights. But one of my internalizations from that, and one of my action items for the day, was I need to enjoy tonight a phone-free dinner with my family. And in Primerica, sometimes that's tough, especially, if you got appointments at 8 and you're trying to get a dinner in. You could have that, you have your phone just right there. Your kids notice that stuff. But I put my phone away. I sat down for dinner and we had a phone-free dinner. So that was an action item. My other action items was win the day, right? So set 3 appointments. And if you guys know Miguel Aloja, that was it. So I did both of those action items. That was based on what I read. So that's kind of my monologue here, as Fathom Note Taker would say, about book reports. But I trust it was helpful because it's made a huge difference in my life. And doing something every day, no matter how small, the moment you start these streaks, you're just proving to yourself you're a person of your word, you're a person of integrity, and you do what you say you're going to do. And you start stacking that on top of each other with other things like action items. The change in your life will be so drastic that it's almost incomprehensible to envision.
It's
And that's
fun.
what I'm feeling right now.
Fun to hear you say that because you, of all the pack members, fought me the longest on being consistent on your book reports. And now to hear you say that, that is just, for me, that's the icing, the little cherry on top of the ice cream there. One person said, "Hey, I think it was David Westfall. You said just read a half hour a day or an hour a day." I don't remember. It's so high up in the chat already. The difference, David, is this: when you just put a time on it, there may be 15 things you should have reflected on that you missed because you put a time on it. You got to read 5 to 10 pages, and within those 5 to 10 pages, find something that you go like, oh, yes, that little voice, listen to the little voice, acknowledge that little voice, write about it, and turn it into an action item. Because let's all agree, we can all read 1,000 books. We don't have to read anything. You can just go Google anything that you want to know out of any book, and you'll have the answer right there. However, you doing it, you going through the experience, that is where actual personal growth happens. John.
Well, first off, it's thank you for fathering my son.
You're welcome.
and filling a void. This is wonderful. Um, I immediately take this and I want to address something that was said earlier by Mel, and this is a really important subject. And that is this idea that what lead by example is. See, I think lead by example is you have a winning streak, and you don't even have to really tell anybody that you have a winning streak. It shows up. Your people notice that you're moving your business forward. Lead by example is not 3 recruits direct and 5,000 in premium and 100,000 of investments every month, no matter what. I mean, it may be for a period of time for you. That may be your lead by example. But lead by example is winning, and your people knowing you're winning. Winning might be my investment accounts are growing. I'm getting closer to financial independence. The numbers on the leaders bulletin are going up. The team recruiting is going up. Team cash flow is going up. That's winning. Winning is measured a lot of different ways. And I had a question. So, I love personal growth and self-improvement, especially when you're then able to apply it to our business. But I want to make sure that no one gets confused here, that it's kind of like Zach said, when I finally get to that point where I go, aha, then I kind of dig in with that and I write it out. I've built my business the same way. I get to that right person and I go, aha, and then I stay there. I camp out. I move in. And my personal numbers, Mel, may go down. But my numbers, it's not about my numbers now. It's about the duplication process that's now taking place because I move in. And my goal now is how quickly, if it's you, Mel, how quickly can I get Mel doing this without me? And when Mel's on his own without me, or soon to be on his own without me,
That's a win.
I go back in and start reading again, or I start prospecting again. I start creating again. I had a question this weekend, and it was, how do you have such a diversified hierarchy? That was the question to me. How do you seem to have, you have African Americans, you've got Haitians, you've got women, you've got young, you've got old white guys, you've got securities, you've got recruiters, you've got premium, you got how in the world did you end up with this? It's when I got to the person who deserved my energy, they got it.
Then that's
and
so
you
good.
all, with what you're doing, are earning that. You're earning that because the way you all operate in the world, it will be so clear to anybody who's privileged enough to be around you that they're going to see you are different than other people when it comes to caring about their success. And they have to see that.
And
when
that
they
is
see
what
that and know that, game over. And self-improvement and personal growth, in many cases, allows you to get out of your own way so that you can be a servant leader and you can contribute and make a difference and you can duplicate and be worth duplicating. So,
and that is what's so attractive. This is why people attract other people, other winners in their business, because it's so much easier to attract a winner in different areas into the business if you're already displaying all the characteristics of a winner. Thank you.
No, because we used to run a breakfast club, and it was 4x5. You had to do 4x5, and you got to sit at the table. And sitting at the table was a prestige. I mean, if you were at the table, then you were like the man or woman, okay? And there was a guy, I won't mention a name, but he was at the table for years. He was a division leader at the table for years. Maybe he was a regional, but he never got to VP, and he never had anybody else at the table. But he did his 3x5,000 every month, or 4x5,000 every month. Well, that's not our business. You have to wonder, what are you doing with all these recruits that you're getting? What's going on here? Are you just on to the spinning the plate? Are you just on to the next plate and letting the other ones drop and fall? So I thought, no, that was a great analogy. And so I just want you all to know there's not many ways. There's so many ways to build this. But I would recommend that you find what you like doing, what you enjoy doing. You may not like it right now, but if you do it enough, you'll learn to like it. And really build your business around things you enjoy, because I never, ever really considered this work. I just never did. It was just a game.
That's it. But it starts with winning on a personal level, and that you start to trust yourself. You can see this happening in real life. And if you are in an in-person base shop, the person that normally is just walking normal, but they hit 3 recruits, they happenstance over 3 recruits, and all of a sudden they have a different walk because they've got 3 recruits for the month, and then they got one more, and they walk even taller, and the next month they're all like little Mario. Oh, no more energy. If you win on these levels consistently, you will start walking erect without you having a single recruit, and you will be attractive to other people. Chase, can we talk about that with you for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, for years, and my leader, Kent Laurie Preston, they would say, actually, when I got promoted to RVP, they said that's what changed, is I stopped letting my results dictate what was showing, right? I was down in the dumps, I was, moping around. I didn't think I was, but they were that mirror that showed it in front of me that says, hey, here's what's going on. But when I changed that and I started staying positive, even in the stuff that's going on, right? Even when things are going on behind the scenes and you feel like a duck in the water, right? You're pedaling like crazy and it looks like you're smooth. I promise you, most people, probably all 9 of us on this panel, have something going on in our lives that we either wouldn't share or you wouldn't know if you have conversations with us. And that's just what leadership is about, right? You don't push any of your problems onto your teammates, right? You just deal with it and move on. I'm going to use a basketball analogy since the Pacers just
Sorry,
missed
bud.
out. And anybody that follows me knows I'm a huge Pacers fan, being here in Indy, and I used to work for them. But when Tyrese got hurt, right? He tore his Achilles. I knew as soon as it happened what had happened, and his response when he was in his hospital bed, after he had surgery, was basically he was apologizing to the fans and he said he wouldn't change it. He already has a positive outlook. Kobe Bryant had the exact same thing happen, right? And he used a Kobe Bryant phrase. I forget the exact wording, but it was essentially you've got to find the silver lining in everything that happens to you.
Yep.
Every challenge, every bit of adversity that you are faced with, you're not defined by that. How you react to it is what's going to determine everything else moving forward. So quit telling God how big your problems are, right? And instead, I've heard people say, tell your problems how big your God is, right? How are you going to fight through that regardless of what happens?
So good, so good. Kardia, if we can switch to you. Um, I have a question, but I don't want to. John, you ask questions.
So, Cardia, what I'll ask flat out, what adversity can you see that's happened recently that's caused that's caused something great to happen as a result of the adversity?
That's a great question. Before I answer that, can I just tell you I'm like a little kid over here, like a kid in the candy store with that calculator, because I'm like doing flips over here. And that leads into what you said, Coach Lavin. This is month 6 of year 2025. All of you know Southern California had a massive wildfire. And it is still very devastating. And what that adversity really put me in high gear, because I realized a lot of my clients were in a better position. So when life did hit them, they were not in a position where they had to figure out where money was coming from to find housing, to find food, to be able to pay for food and pay for clothing. They were in a position where they could focus on what they were going through. And that really just made me say, I had to dig deeper. There were other people who weren't my clients, and not saying anything, I'm all that, but there were other people that my clients told me about that didn't talk to me or didn't talk to anyone, who did not have an emergency fund, who did not prepare for when life throws them that curveball. And on top of the fire devastating them losing everything, not knowing where they need to go, waiting for things to happen, they didn't have the opportunity to be grounded. That made me really dig deeper and say, I have to really beat the drum even louder about what I do and how I truly can help people change their lives. Because I always tell my clients, life is an equal opportunity offender. It's coming. We just don't know when, how long, or what it's going to do to us. So that adversity, it hit me in a lot of different ways, but it allowed me to see this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because those who I did help, and myself, we were okay in a sense, but there are so many more that didn't get on the boat. So that for me was that adversity that really made me turn it around and take it to the next level as far as what I'm doing.
Aren't you glad you asked that question?
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Amazing.
I have a question. This one is for Mel, if I may. Mel, PDCAing things, right? PDCAing, that's what we're talking about today. You have been one of the most consistent from day one in doing your PDCAs. The minute I explained the concept, you didn't only understand why I should be doing it, but you started applying it. And from conversations with others, natural leadership, you have now become quite an advocate for do your PDCAs. Come on, let's go, right? Um, and for those in the audience that still don't understand the importance of it, can you explain how on at the base level how it really changed how you look at problems today?
Wow, it's almost like you scripted that. I mean, it's funny. When Zach was talking earlier, I wrote something down. I'm kind of, I guess, becoming notorious for coming up with these little isms, the PPAs and stuff like that. But I came up with something I call I cubed when Zach was talking, and it's really what the business is about. And the 3 I stands for intentional incremental improvements. And that's really what PDCAs is about, is every single day you figure out, okay, where can I make an intentional incremental improvement in my business or myself? And if I just got 1% better every day, if I'm consistent and I do that, at the end of a year, I'm 365. I'm almost 4 times better than I was when I started that year, because I just made an incremental, even if it's just, okay, I'm going to get on Zoom. I don't have anything going on today. Let me get on Zoom. Let me go through what I know we're going to do on bootcamp anyway. Let me set up a recruiting case, do my PPAs, and let me just press record and go through the script. And then get you a barf bag, set it next to your desk, and then play that video and watch it. Force yourself to sit there and watch it. And you'll see, oh my God, I said right 75 times. I said, and you know that, and that's the only way to get better. But you have to do that intentionally. And I think that's what PDCAs is that intentionally searching, where can I get incrementally better? I'm not going to get to John Lavin status in a day or a month or a year, or Mario Arizon or Willing and Wrong Ho, but I can get a little bit better today than I was yesterday. And that's really who your only competition is in this business, is you. And if you just get up and compete with yourself and say, okay, I did this yesterday. Yesterday I scheduled 2 appointments. Can I get to 3 today? Can I just get a little bit better? Can I just get incrementally better? But I'm going to do it intentionally. It's not going to happen. And that's really the battle, because we all want to be that diamond. But the diamond has been through years of pressure. The challenge is here, you have to create your own pressure. And that's what most people don't want to do. That's why you don't want to do the book report. You don't want to read the book, because that is putting the mirror up and saying, okay, I've got to create my own pressure. And I got to force myself to stay in that pressure until all of the rough edges get chiseled off. It's not fun to go through the chiseling. Everybody wants the polished statue of David at the end, but they don't want to go through the chiseling. And here you have to do the chiseling yourself. There's no Michelangelo for you. You are the Michelangelo, and you've got to do it yourself.
So good. So good. John.
Yeah, so I would ask all of you to consider this question. And I relate it to a golf lesson that I had that I paid a guy, a well-renowned coach, a lot of money to coach me. And the attitude is, what's the one thing? Here's the question for you. What's the one thing that's the most important one thing that if you fix it right now, you focus on it right now, that one thing fixed or improved upon has the most effect on everything else? What's the one thing? So in my lesson, it was funny because my head, when I was getting ready to hit a golf ball, was tilting this way. See this? It was tilting this way. And my coach said to me, well, when you tilt your head that way, your chin is now in the way of your backswing, so you can't get your shoulder. Your head's supposed to tilt this way. This way.
Small adjustment.
That was it.
Major impact. That's
a
what
lesson. So that one thing, once we get this happening instead of this, that will change more. That will have a big effect on everything else immediately. So I went to work on that one thing. I won't get into the details, but I went to the work on that until it was fixed. And I came back. I said, okay, that's fixed. Okay, he says, well, let's look for the next one. What's the next thing? And so for all of you in our business right now, for the most of you, the one thing is prospecting. The one thing is consistent prospecting. The one thing is to have a daily accountability about results. A daily accountability with yourself, really, regarding results. And so I just hope that you all are understanding nothing good's going to happen here for you until you start getting results. And results will end up in your checking account. That's where it's going to show up. The results are going to end up in your mutual funds. They're going to end up in your net worth. That's where the results are. And so if you're doing things that aren't giving you increased net worth, increased income, incremental increases in income, then there's something broken. And you've got to get some coaching as quick as you can to figure out, okay, what's the first thing that I need to fix? And it may not be prospecting. It may be prospecting in the right market. It may be not spending time running the play on Facebook for a year and using it to ramp up some activity to get into a warm market with somebody with credibility. So everything we teach and do in a cold market was designed to get you to a warm market, working with somebody with credibility. And whether you get to stay there in that warm market with somebody with credibility has everything to do with all the stuff you're talking about, Aristide, with self-improvement and personal growth. You don't get to stay in quality warm markets with people with credibility if you aren't worthy of it. They don't keep taking you out. They stop inviting you.
They smell you out like
they smell you out. So
yep.
It's at the core of integrity, intention, what am I trying to accomplish? Being a person of your word, being an example of work ethic, being a competitor, but not an obnoxious one that has compassion, your relationships, your ability to actually care and people know you care, not like an act, but like you really care.
Right.
Like all of that starts to become the real foundation of how you build a real business.
Ask one more question, John, but ask Jeremy this question. Where's your winning streak right now?
Jeremy, where's your winning streak right now?
Oh, wow. Just yesterday, actually, I posted my 100th consecutive book report of, and I mean, there was times when I just wanted to call it quits. I just wanted to throw in the towel. This is so silly. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm on a camping trip with my family. It's 95 degrees here in the tent. I don't even have my book with me. I'm done. Just end it. And yesterday marked 100. And that's not to brag or boast. It's saying that I recognize patterns. Aristide has always taught us pattern recognition is what we need to be looking at. We need to recognize patterns. We need to then find out how to utilize them and then how to create new ones. And so I recognize the pattern for me was throwing in the towel too easily and also just not making things consistent. And so for me, it was the carrot and stick kind of thing. I found out, I recognized a pattern. I'm more of a stick person. So my book reports, I started adding up on there a consistency counter of each day I do it, I add to it. And just when I have that feeling in the back of my head of, oh man, I'm going to let it go. I'm just going to start over tomorrow. No, don't do that, because now I have to type 0 in that box, and that it's not
That hurts.
but that little internalization of pain for me, I recognized that I didn't want that. And so something so silly like that, I was able to recognize and put it on there, and I've been able to keep that motivating me. So recognizing that I'm a stick person there, but also it breaks that perfectionism as well. And this is why PDCA is so powerful, is it breaks the perfection cycle. Me being a green, I'm a perfectionist. I'm like, I want it to be perfect before I go do it. But this is, hey, you take action, you observe the results, and then you adjust. You can't adjust anything if you don't go and take action on it. So done and adjusted beats perfect and never started. And so if you get it off and get going with it and have those pattern recognition moments where you go, aha, this is why I act the way I act. That's why this has been so important.
How did you overcome not having your book with you? What happened?
I just simply started a new one. I got a online book. I found one of the books that I have that on my phone. Where there's a will, there's a way.
No excuses. That's where
Jeremy, to watch your progression, I would love, Aristide, for you to get a meeting from a year ago that we did that Jeremy was involved in, and show everybody Jeremy a year ago compared to Jeremy, his confidence, his communication skills, his certainty today. And Zach would be I would say, because I see Zach, it's the same thing. It's like magic happening before my eyes. And
they don't see it, but it's like you losing weight on a daily basis. You don't see it, and you meet your friend 5 weeks later, and you go like, "Oh my God, you've lost like 15 pounds," and you're like, "Did I?" Right? It's that same thing. Chase, you wanted to say something really bad.
Yeah, the consistency of the 100 days is awesome. Jeremy, if you didn't have other people looking at those reports and looking at those results, do you think you would have had the same results?
So I know I have green written here, but it's also green yellow, meaning I sometimes put people's needs before my own. That's a big yellow trait. And I feel like I let my team down when I don't do that. And that's why the pack has been such a big culture thing. And I feel that maybe not necessarily I would continue doing them, but because I know it's helping other people see it, other people see the motivation, the pattern, what I'm going through, and they see me struggle with these things. If it even helps just one person in the pack, then it's all worth it. And that word help is the yellow highlight, right? So that's why I want to be able to do that. So it's helping me, it's helping other people, and it's helping me in the process. So great question.
Guys, I have 2 minutes left. Logan, nor Turbo had a chance to speak yet. Logan, you already spoke in the beginning. Do you mind if I go to Turbo last here? You okay with that? All right. Jesse, um, um, a birdie has told me that at one point, John Lavin said, "Wow, that girl is going to be a winner." He said this about you very early on. John, do you even remember making that remark when you
me,
said, yeah,
yeah, I
you,
still say it to
you
this.
still say it.
I
So,
said it early on. I said it very early on. And Jesse's not in our hierarchy, but she became like an adopted daughter, in our
right.
hierarchy.
So, Jesse, what did that one statement do to you and allowed you to go into, you know what? If they see that in me, and if I start committing myself to PDCAs and daily growth, how did that form you?
Don't make me cry, dude. You know I don't like crying.
I know I can do it too.
I already got tears in my eyes. My very first ever builder's school that I went to when I was brand new in the business, and I don't miss builder schools. Don't miss a big event, you guys. John Lavin, it was the first time that I ever met him in person. Now, I'm on Tuesday night trainings with him every Tuesday night, and any opportunity I have to be around him, I'm always there. So to me, he is like, I call him like my extra dad. Like he's a dad to me. He's the exact same age as my dad too, so it kind of matches up there. I heard him tell my trainer, so he didn't even know that I heard this. I was standing away to the side and he was talking to my trainer, and I heard him say, without him knowing that I was in earshot, that he said, that Turbo girl, she's got something special. She's got the it factor, and you need to make sure that you do whatever you need to do to give her what she needs to be able to flourish here, because she's got it. And I heard that, and oh my God, like I, to this day, that fuels me, because every single time that I have adversity or I start to get, down on myself, things aren't going right, whatever, I remember that. And making Daddy Lavin proud is something that's actually important to me, even though he doesn't override me whatsoever. But I look at him like a mentor, a coach. I always tell people like he's one of my biggest coaches and mentors, even though I'm not technically in his downline. And that, I mean, literally all the time. Like I lean into that. It fuels me. I want to make him proud. There's no freaking way I'm ever quitting this business. Like, it's not going to happen. I will be $1 million earner, and I will give him mad props on that stage, just like I will you, of course, Aristide, because you're my other papa.
Your words, guys, what I'm telling you, your words have a lot of power. Be careful what you say. You may be saying some crappy stuff about people that may be or may not be in earshot. So if they're going to catch you saying something, it better be something that is really good versus something that can hurt them. Can we close with that? John, do you have any final words?
Yeah, I think what you just said is there's really no need to have negative gossip conversations with anybody, and we're all different in that some of us, like, we live for it, and others, it just slips sometimes. And then there are those that just don't violate that rule. And there's an example of what if I had said something different to him? Because I actually said what I believed. What if I believed something different? What if I had said, that girl's got no shot? Okay. And she heard that. Like, if you spend time with her, you're crazy. And she heard it. She wouldn't be here. Whether I meant to say it to her or not. So why would we even need to go that? Why do we need to even? So I just think we have to be really aware of our. I think it was a great example, Turbo. Thank you, of being really aware of positive coming out, and leave the negative alone. Leave it away. No one needs to be bothered with it.
So good. Thank you, everybody on the panel. Logan, Cardia, Zach, Chase, Mel, Jeremy, and Turbo, and last but not least, John Lavin. Hey guys, I know you guys want to sign off, but if you're smart and you want to be in the running for the blessing or are in the blessing, hang tight. I believe everyone listening to my voice right now can actually still win the blessing if you just put your mind to it. Fact is, most people have already given up, which makes it very easy for you now to go in and win. Jeremy, what does that mean?
No, I was just looking at the camera saying, not you. Not you. You didn't give up. You still got it. You've
Oh,
got
you're
it.
telling everybody, not you. He's not talking to you right now. I appreciate that. Zach and Cardia, what is the blessing?
Well, the blessing is the prerequisites to get into the pack. So if you want to be one of the amazing unicorns, this is your training ground to be able to get yourself ready to move into that stable.
So how does that work, Zach? Can you share your screen and show people where they can find in the ITLC right now? What do they need to do? Some people are asking in the chat, how do I reach that level? Give me some tips. Give me some tricks. It's no tips or tricks. It's just engagement. Engagement gets you there. Can you show them?
Yes, I can. 1 second here.
It seems
So
like
you go
POL.
over to school. Hey,
There you go.
always working. All right. So you go into school, into the ITLC, and this pinned message here at the top is good news and bad news. So as a lot of you guys who plug in here know, that the pack is what we've been kind of referencing all day and last week as well. We gave that challenge to get into the pack. You had to be at level 5. Well, so many of you guys crushed that, and there's only so much room in the pack. So Aristide was kind enough to build a second pack, a prerequisite, like Cardia said, called the Blessing. So you can learn all about it right here. So the pack's now full. There might be one spot left. Go in there, read all that fun stuff, and you'll get a chance to unlock the Blessing. And I'm not going to go too deep into theirs because I don't want to give away the secrets. But once you get in there, you'll be able to unlock it and go to the orientation, and you'll have all the information needed to get into the
Show the
Blessing.
leaderboards.
The
And
leaderboards, as you see, unlock the Blessing. Only 4% of members are there. 30-day leaderboard, 7-day. Shal's crushing, Christian's crushing, Regina's crushing. So when you guys ask, what is the special tips and tricks? We'll go in here and explains the points. Hey, you earn points when other members like your posts or comments. 1 like equals 1 point. And comments, right? I just noticed that. So you earn points when other members like your posts or comments. Oh, no,
so if
not
you want to win,
or comments when they like anything.
so
1
if
like
you're
or 1
smart,
point.
pick a post that has traction. You see them. Go comment. Great job, Logan. John, thank you for that tip. Kardia, I'm so glad you shared that. And if somebody then likes that you just did that, guess what happens? You earn a point. And the more points you get, that's how you go up a level. Show us the people who are at level 3 right now. 10% of the members. How long that list is. All these people, literally within probably 40 minutes from right now, can be at level 5 if they just go and apply themselves a little bit. People who joined just today, by Friday, they can be at level 5 easily. So don't give up. Or is it maybe that you don't want to win? Get out of your own way. Don't think it's impossible, because that alone makes you stop from winning, right? And that's what we're talking about here. How can you put yourself in a position to get coaching on an almost one-on-one level? A 1 to 49 is not a bad share if you can get the foundation in. And you can ask all these members, who on here have I not spent one-on-one time with? All of them get one-on-one time when needed, but you got to earn it. I can't say I'm going to work one-on-one with, what is it, 326 people listening to my voice right now. John Lavin can never do that either. But the ones that really want it, they get to be in front of John Lavin. They get to be in front of me. Why is that? John, do you remember meeting me for the first time? We were
Yeah,
at
yeah, I was at the big event at
a big
Ian
event.
and Assad's big event.
It and I walked up to him and I made sure that he heard my name. And by the time he heard my name a second time, which was at another big event, which was we won MIT. We went there and there was this after party, where the band begins to play. And I see John and I go talk to him and he's like, Aristide, you're here. I heard Ian saying your name a lot of times. And we got to chat. Do you remember that conversation? I remember
Yeah,
that
yeah.
conversation.
So I had been watching the videos of you doing a lot of the trainings for him. I already knew you because of your contribution you were making to others.
Is that by accident, you think?
You weren't getting paid to do it,
No, I wasn't getting paid to do it,
but you
but
were. But you were.
in a different way.
Yeah, it's prepared you for having a school that has over 700 members in 2 weeks. Doesn't happen by accident.
And I appreciate you saying that and recognizing that. And guys, listen, short story is, join this group, go read those first few posts. If you hang out 30 minutes in there, you get it. It's really not that complicated. And it will allow you for a chance to turn yourself around if you feel you're stuck. If you
Shall we
feel you're
mention
on the
the
right
other
track,
groups? Shall we mention the other groups are private?
go ahead.
Yeah. So some people have already figured out ways to, find, because once you pass, you get into the other groups. But they're private. So we know if you're in it or not. And if you join it, you're just going to be kicked out. So there's no point in doing that. Get in there the right way. You're not going to get any value from skipping any steps. Okay. So follow the steps, have some integrity, and do it the correct way. So we don't have to waste time banning you or kicking you out of the group. And if you do it, and I'm going to say this out there, if you do this and have no real reason, then you're probably going to be banned from ever even making it. So just do it the right way, as is stated in the blessing post in ITLC.
You know what's really fun about setting culture, John? Him and I never discussed this, but this is him stepping up as a leader and saying, hey, that's not cool. We're not going to do that. And I'm going to ban you for life. And he has my blessing. Why? You got to allow leaders to grow into a position. You got to give them that space. And the culture was set. And now he can follow that culture. The culture was set not by me, by the way. It was set by you, John. Do you realize that?
No, but thank you.
Papa Lavin.
Papa Lavin.
Happy to help you all. Happy to help out. And just in closing, when I said don't say anything negative, like I didn't mean don't deal with problems with the right people. Didn't say that. But those are closed door sessions where you get clear on communication when it's needed.
Yep.
Probably for most people, the hardest thing is something called confrontation. And if you avoid it, it festers. And if it festers, it doesn't get any better. Learn to deal with it. It's great business experience. Because if you're going to get big, you're going to deal with a lot of crap you don't want to deal with. There's going to be a lot of confrontation that you'd wish you didn't have to go through, but that's why they pay you the big money.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Let's close it off. Get you in the school. And for those who won the blessing already, you're at level 5 at 3 o'clock today on my Zoom, on this same Zoom. You are welcome to join, and we'll see you there. Having said that, see you next week for another episode of the ITL.